Hey guys, Spectaculars here. We're going to do a in-depth guide on how to tank Neltharion's Lair for us. The goal of the guide is more for advanced purposes, where to pull, where to go, and all that sort of stuff. So we're going to start off. Obviously, you're going down the tunnel and all that sort of fun stuff. So you're going to group up. I made a map for us later, and I'll reference that. You're going to group up the first mob, the first group, which is the Scorpion group, the Worm group, and the two Basilisks on the side. That's going to start us off with enough enemy forces to get us going and whatnot. So that at the end we don't have to pull extra stuff, or we miss stuff, or the other option too is that we don't have to pull a lot of the harder mobs. We want to kind of avoid as many of those pelters as possible. They suck, and once you start getting into the Mythic 10s and all that sort of stuff, it gets harder and harder and harder to keep people alive without stuns, and even that you're still going to run into stun immunities. So, as you can see, what I did was I pulled the first two groups, pulled the Basilisks in the water, grouped them up for my DPS, and took aggro, and then started moving again. That was a Typhoon to slow them down. Okay. So here we have the next pull. This is the second pull. The first pull is a little bit more intense. The second pull is a little lighter. It's just two Basilisks and this one pull section. So you group up on the bridge. It doesn't really matter where you group. The goal is to avoid the big baddie over there that chucks the cone hit. So again, and this run's going to be about 15 minutes long. Pretty good run. We've done it on higher difficulties, but this one just wanted to show where we're at and how it works. So again, just basic killing. I like to Typhoon, interrupting casts, all that sort of stuff. So. So I also, right here, this is where I like to have a healer jump off. My healer was a little slow about it. Just to start the RP event, similar to how in Darkheart Thicket that you have someone run up to the first boss while you're killing the two bears, just to start the RP event. Basic boring stuff, waiting for RP. I feel like half the time in Mythic Plus is you're just waiting for RP to go on. Alright, or just take them towards the wall. I use your basic spells to grab threat on the little guys. They don't need very much, and then I just swipe them down. It's really easy to pick up threat, especially if you're a bear. Try to use the charged moonfires, and you'll almost kill them. Almost kill them all the way down the first time. I like to put my butt against it, the back wall, so that the DPS has as much room as possible to move around, and they kind of have a secure location. Also, the goal should be to put all of the green slimes, or the little rock guys, on you, and so that's where they're going to drop the pool, because it's much easier for you to move around and you to take a DPS loss than it is for your melee. Or your range too. Keep in mind that the more of these guys that are up, the harder that cone's going to hit. Sweet enemies down. Oh, I can't tell you how many druids forget Stampeding Roar. Man, all that time, keep it together. Every minute, like clockwork. All right, so now we're at the next room. Keep in mind that up to this point, we've basically only done like 2 pulls. So this is where we kind of pick up steam a little bit. So you pick up this guy right here. Get a little threat. He's not that dangerous. He does the avalanche attack. So you want to face him away. Obvious tank stuff. So here, the stone gaze can be a little bit of a problem, but keep him away from obviously the hammer or the drummer. Any groups with the pelters, I try to slow down for. A lot of it is knowing your healers. So if your healer is fine and keeping up with one group of pelters, or if you're on a lower tier, you can start pulling these consecutively quickly, so that you're in the process of pulling one while the last 2 pelters are dying. And another thing too is I try to position myself so that I can get as much cleave damage as possible. Use your typhoons and all that sort of stuff to keep them together. It's just another way for you to increase your damage and finish up these mythic pluses hella early. See right now, the healer was behind a little bit, so I made sure not to pull her directly into the next group. All right, so this room right here, there's 4 different pools. You have the middle group. Again, I try to keep them separate just for the healing, but if you have strong DPS and a strong healer, you can start grouping these. These are dangerous, but they're not above the realm of possibilities. Also, the way that I pull this in this video, very light on the defensives. Anytime that you feel that you are, I wouldn't even say in danger, but the group is behind on healing, pop something all the time. So you see right there, we got knocked back and pulled another group, but it's totally fine. And even right now, you can see that I still have Survival Instinct, Spark Skin, I still have Rage of the Sleeper. Everything's right there. This is a part where I could have probably gone a little bit faster, saved another extra 10 seconds or so, got in position, but you know, sometimes you're talking on Discord and being a shitlord. So, same thing, pelters, they're going to jump back. Get ready for them to jump back, and if you position yourself just right, if you notice, this guy got, or that was a typhoon, but they'll kind of jump back in the same direction. Here, positioning in the middle, so I'm cleaving them all. Also, my DPS could have done that too, but they shitlords, why not? So, okay. So, over here, this pull, group them up with the other ones, basic stuff. Remember, our goal is to keep these runs as fast as possible and as clean as possible. You know, you want to be a tank that is fun to tank with, or we'll just say elitist. Okay, so on the last one, so I'm already starting to position over. Healers, give the healer a second to drink, but ultimately just keep this going. The first part of this is not bad at all. Also, a quick tip for bears out there, because this boss is boring. You want to, if you do the Guardian Loon talent spec, make sure that you're putting abilities in between your mangles, like Iron Fur, or just really using that advantage of the extra 2 seconds on Iron Fur, or the extra 20% healing from Frenzy Regeneration. It really smooths these out when you're on higher difficulties. Very rarely, regularly, I will come close to the amount of healing that the healer will do, just because of the way that I'm prioritizing my Frenzy Rejuvenation. Again, you can see I have all my cooldowns. I have Frenzy Rejuvenation. I'm ready to rock. I'm ready to start taking damage. And if my group dips, that's when I'll also pop my own defensives. Just maybe not so much to protect me, but just to be one less person that the healer has to worry about. A lot of times these things go smooth because you as the tank set them up to go smooth. So just keep that in mind. I was also fortunate enough to have really good DPS here. I think overall I had 2 DPS that was about 400k the whole run, and then 1 that was 300k. So the next pull, this is the normal one. You skip this one. When we're talking about pulling those basilisks, the real big reason why is so that we can skip. The basilisks are hecka easy, but these guys right here are a little bit difficulter, higher difficulty, but honestly, it doesn't really matter. But we pull the basilisks so that we don't have to pull extra ones below. If you ever get behind, it kind of sucks. So right here, I tag each basilisk. My DVS knows to kind of chill out, or use misdirect, or use tricks of the trade. It is what it is. Big bear butt got stuck. Put a little extra threat on them, but ultimately get your butt moving to the next pull, because these guys don't hit hard at all. Even in Mythic 10, it's not very hard. You're going to want to start slowing down though if you do get, I think it's fortified. Yeah, fortified's the big one. Now right here, this is something different that I put than I put on the map. So this pull, I've turned this into the basilisk, the pull at the beginning of the room, and the second pull in the room. Normally on higher difficulties, this is one of those dangerous spots. It's not super dangerous, but it's dangerous enough to bring it up. You want to pop your cooldowns here. As you notice, I do have Rage of Sleeper off cooldown. This right here is another big baddie pull. I see a lot of tanks die here. Make sure that you have your defensive cooldowns up before you go into this pull. As you notice, Bark Skin immediately, Survival Instincts. This is basically the first time that I've needed to pop this all dungeon is this one pull right here. Also pay attention to the worms. It's your job as well to do as much damage on those worms as possible. Even though I had an awesome rogue that took care of them, basically. Cool, little knockback, a little slow. I like to try to get the healer to drink, or just check on the healer's mana. So a lot of times, like I'll stop for a second, or I'll do some basic damage, just because I'm looking at the health bars, looking at everyone's secondary resource, to see if we're good to go. Even people like arcane mages, if you can just manage to give them a 1 second drink, they can drink while you start the boss fight. Overall, pretty good. So. Again, when you get into the higher difficulties, the Anusha, the small things in this fight really make a big difference. We had some problems. Our Holy Paladin was not ranged, or was not healing from ranged, so it ended up turning that we had too many slimes up front, and the boss was able to eat. Now I'm pretty well geared, but this can be a problem, especially when you start getting into the higher difficulty settings, or the tyrannical, which is brutal on this boss, sometimes can be, if you don't put your slimes in the right spot. So this I had to do just with Stampeding Roar. Again, Stampeding Roar is such a good talent. I can't tell you how many druid tanks I see taking the extra charge. It's nice, I guess, but Stampeding Roar probably saved my life there. DPS was high enough, but those adds come and they'll up the damage of the boss significantly if you're on higher difficulty settings and you don't do the slime trick to slow those adds down out of the gate. You want to position the slimes right before. So this whole room is a hard room to do for healers, so I tend to go really slow unless I really trust the healer. Moots is one of the best Holy Paladins. I think that's what he is, right? It's pink. Moots is one of the best Holy Paladins I know. I love tanking dungeons with him, but even these cleaves get ridiculous. Especially, again, everything goes back to on the higher the mythics. These things are really strong, and they will hurt a lot. So you have to single pull. I know it sucks for us because we're tanks, and you get to the point where these guys don't hurt us at all. Or look, he's melee attacking me for 2% of my health. It just doesn't matter. Stampeding Roar, again, off cooldown, getting my guys into position, trying to make it as fast as possible for them, not just for me. You set them up to win. That's our goal here. So right here, stunning the bounce to keep my DPS up. Now, you'll probably see me do a demoralizing roar in a second to reset the targets. That pelter's going ham right now. Whack. Also, the guy on top of the scorpion's pretty rough. And then we have one more pat. Again, I like to pull them separate. They're rough. Even with when you have fortified, or they hit so hard for the group that they have to manage their own defensives. Also, single target stuns are great. I mean, AoE stuns are great too, but as far as the single target stuns go, that's what you want to do to knock out those pelters. Because right now, if we were in a Mythic 10, Danby would have already been dead, and I think we probably would have lost my warrior. So here, basic boss, you guys know how to tank this. When he knocks you back, charge back in. Set yourself against the wall if you don't have a charge. Make sure that you pop in defensives. See this right here? I immediately switch. The goal is to put Thrash up on the guy so he's slowed, and again, set your DPS up to win so that they don't have to kite as much. If you add your damage onto those guys, your DPS can kill them quicker, which means that your melee DPS potentially gets to stay on the boss longer. This was a really quick kill. Again, this was only a Mythic 3, but the same strategy kind of applies. So we're just doing the boss. That's it. Also, one thing I don't think we actually made it to a magma wave, but if you were you want to save your stampeding roars for them. Also, make sure you face obviously the boss away from the crystal spikes. It just is better. Um, Here we go. We have him in execute. This is where our warrior starts to shine. Oh yeah, we did. Yeah. See, stampeding roar really helps. Also, druid tanks. How many times do people not cast Moonfire all the time? If you are moving and you're not in melee range, make sure you're casting spells all the time. And just like that, that's how you 3-chest. Thanks for watching, guys. So guys, right here, the map that I made, I'm going to kind of go quickly explain through it. So first of all, sorry about the quality. So the red lines shows our path, just how we go around the instance. The arrows indicates where you should stop and fight the mobs there. I tried to do circles where it gets a little confusing about which mobs to pull and all that. But overall, the black arrow, the regular arrows with the non-filled are where you stop. You tank the mobs there, and then you move on. Kind of when we talked about your healer and him keeping up, the goal is to continuously pull them. So a lot of times it's not stop, put your cement boots on, stand there, and wait for all of the mobs to die. Typically, you wait until the last mobs or the 2 last mobs are pretty low on health, maybe a quarter or so. Again, it's off of your healer and your relationship with them, especially when pugs. A lot of times I'll go the first few pulls, I'll go a little bit slower, and then I'll speed up. Okay, so the black arrows, those are the danger points. This is where the real damage comes and hits you. Most of this instance is about everyone else taking damage, except for if you do this strategy of speed pulling, the 3 black arrows. Those 3 black arrows are the danger zones. That's where you're going to want to make sure that you have cooldowns up and ready to go for each one of them. A lot of times these bosses, we don't need deep defensive cooldowns on us. So again, you see the first 3 pack, that's a danger zone. We kind of move through like the rest of the video showed, and then the basilisk with the first and the second tunnel, that's the other point that's a danger zone, and then the double pull right before Naxxus, the worm boss. Cool guys, hope this helps. I'll see you guys later.